Do you believe in magic? Aloha, my beautiful ones. Happy New Year. And yes, I'm starting the question. Do you believe in magic? Do you want to have magic in your life? Do you want to be magic in your life? Do you want to be magic? Yeah. Yes, we can be magic in our lives. That's how we're getting started this year. Feels nice with everything happening. It's so wow. But yeah, so maybe first things first. Happy New Year, everybody. Right now is full moon, no, January 3rd. A lot of things happening. And, I use this time during, the Germans like to call it the time between the years, which is basically the smoky days, the very special magical days that happen right after the winter solstice that are the time to, be more mindful with yourself, retreat, reflect on the last year. And usually, sorted by thumb, it's about 13 days that ended yesterday. If you take it very, by the date is 21st of December until 2nd of January. If you use, the calendar more close to the Christian calendar, meaning 24th as the beginning of the revival, the rebirth of the year, then it starts on December 24th and ends on January 6th. So it's, 3 days later, 3 days. But using this time to reflect and talking to a dear friend during this time has made me think about that because this friend said that I would love to have more magic in my life. I want to bring back magic into my life. And so I reflected for myself. Like, on one hand, yes, I mean, we can always do even more magic, but I already have a very magical life. The only thing is that, and this is where I am really sorry because this is something that I have been holding back from you, my listeners, is that I talk too little about the magic in my life. Because magic is there's so many beautiful magical things that happen on a daily basis, sometimes on a weekly, it's not something that I live every day, but I live it through really small, mundane moments because I was aware of it, because I was listening to it, because, I was giving attention to those things, and they can be different for every one of us. But, and here we come to the reason why I feel like I have to talk about it more, because I feel that if you know how I am living it, you're probably going to be inspired to find that kind of magic in your own life, right? The guidance in your life. For me, my magical life started when I started to love, the King Arthur tales, the opal leaves, the tales of Merlin and the druids and the witches and all of that. And this started when I was 14, 15, way back when, and then you start reading books like The Prophecies of Celestine, I think it's Celestine was one of the very first, books about, energy that I read. And I think that was in my beginning 2021, 22, something like that. The Alchemist was, it came with that one. Then a friend of mine gifted me my very first book about witchcraft. And I'm talking about, for everybody going like, oh my God, witchcraft. No, not the negative kind of witchcraft. I'm talking about white magic, white witchcraft. And I remember because it's a very detailed, very deep book about how to live as a witch. And it's a whole year. It takes you through the whole year. It takes you through all the festivities that I love to celebrate. I do celebrate them every year, sometimes smaller, sometimes bigger. So for those of you asking, what are those, May? Those are these 4 dates. And of course, we celebrate them as a strict date. But of course, we're talking about energies before and after, because energies are not very linear in that way. So it's starting with winter solstice, the rebirth of the year. Then we have, let me recall the English name for it, and I just can't recall it right now, but it's April 30th, May 1st, which is basically Beltane. There we go. Beltane, that's Beltane. I know that some people also celebrate Ostara, which is, the time around Eastern where it's about the rebirth of the year. And no, not the rebirth of the year because that's 21st of December because of the winter solstice, but it's more about the rebirth of nature. Then we have, of course, but I celebrate these four. So it's winter solstice, Beltane on April 30th, because it's where inspiration gets born, or not just born, but when we start to set the seeds and, everything comes to life with that. Then the summer solstice on June 21st, because for me, it's the celebration of life in a double meaning because that's actually my birthday. So for me, it's celebrating life more than what I just said. And then, of course, Samhain, or however you want to spell it for yourself. But the day where we celebrate when the year dies, because, at that time, winter is coming and everything, retreats. So that's 31st of October, of course. Those are the four main things. And for me, the most magical one that I love to celebrate is 31st of October because it is my New Year's. For me, it's even more important as a New Year's time than the 31st of December because that one counts for me more. And then winter solstice is more, right? So that's the beginning of the magic in my life. And then my shamanic teacher showed up in my life, and then shamanic books came into my life, and I started to become a shamanic practitioner. And when you're that, you live so many signs of animals, you learn about your spirit guides, about your spirit animals, and all of that beauty that is around us and that sends us signs and that shows us so much. And when you have that is so beautiful. And then you start seeing little things, like and I remember, and this is something that if you want to take that with you for the next couple of days, ask the universe for a sign that they're there, for your spirit guides, for whoever you believe in. Ask them to show you that they're there, that they are there. I did that a couple of years ago again. I'm not saying that I was doubting, but we sometimes have moments. And when I was having one of those moments, and I can remember that it was 5 years ago because it was with my 1-year-old niece, and she's 6 now. So, and I remember that for me, it felt like, hey guys, I feel like I need a sign from you guys so that you're there. And so I think I went for a jog with my niece, because I said she can sleep in the buggy and I can take her with me. And then suddenly this beautiful, amazing bird starts flying right in front of us on the road where I was jogging. And it's like it was flying right in front of us, like it was guiding us through the path. And then it went up in the sky and then it followed us until we came back home. That was so, now me telling you is like, oh my God, that was so magical, right? And those are the signs that we can look for. That's just one version, right? Another thing that came to me that brought a lot of magic into my life was the moment that I think I was working, doing some healing work, hands on, with my hands on, I think a friend she had, I don't remember what she had, but I was, helping her. And then I realized, and that was the very first one of 3 until now that have shown up. The very first one of my dragons came to me. And I couldn't believe it at first because, my shamanic teacher had taught me like, oh my God, dragons, like dragons, that's a big deal. And, the magic of dragons. And so for me, it was like, yeah, I'm not so sure. So I really had to reconfirm that was really happening. And that was again, like I just said, the first one of 3 that have been constantly with me. I'm not saying that there aren't more, but those 3 are like my companions, and they're here, and they have been showing up in the last couple of weeks very strongly, and we're like, hey, we're here. We want to work. Let's do stuff, right? And and that's the kind of magic that I am living for myself. And of course, then there's moments where I was allowed to bring together a dragon with someone, yeah, right? Or a spirit guide, or a spirit animal, or an ancestor, right? Because one of the big, big, beautiful, amazing, magical moments that I have had were with my ancestors, with the ones that actually do not have a big voice in, within my family anymore. Because here's a multicultural part, that because I have Chinese ancestors, and but most of them do not remember anymore the magical part, or were never very connected because they grew up more, in a Christian Ecuador, because that's from my Ecuadorian side. But through my shamanic work, I was able to connect with the grandmother of my grandmother, one of my ancestors, that is always has been, ever since I started my shamanic journey. She has been there, and she has been there a lot. And I remember that I was traveling, and somehow I'm always drawn to Chinatowns. You know, think of them whatever you want to, but for me, it's like I feel like I'm always drawn to them because of childhood memories of, certain sweets that my grandmother used to have, or just the energy. Just, I don't know. I can't tell you. It's like, I'm just saying, I'm drawn to them. And so when I started traveling 8 years ago, I remember that I had told my friend, one of my dear friends who I was visiting in Mexico, hey, if we can, and if you guys have a Chinatown, I would love to get to know that one. And he was like, oh yeah, yeah, we're doing it. I don't know what day. Let's go. That's a good day to go there, and we'll do the city center, and then you'll see Chinatown as well. And so we decide to go, and somehow Spirit decides to do that on the day that the entrance of Chinatown is being celebrated. And I didn't even notice. Ever since then, I never had New Year's, Chinese New Year's in my head. Like I have had celebrated it, before in the corporate world, because we had some, work with Chinese people. And so I knew that's there. It exists, right? And of course, learning a little bit more about my ancestry, I learned a little bit about it, but not so much into depth. But I arrived there, and suddenly we see a celebration of Chinese New Year's, with the dragons dancing. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. But, you could think that was coincidence, that on that day that happened, right? A year later, I'm traveling in Hawaii with my wonderful Kumu Mahalani there. And I don't know, for whatever reason, she decides, hey, I need to go to Walmart. I need to do a Walmart run. Let's go there. And we go there, and we get closer to the entrance, and we hear Chinese music. And then we start seeing them dancing dragons in front of the entrance. And the first thing Kumu does, she turns around, she looks at me, that's your ancestors talking, sending you a greeting. And for me, that was like, dude, what was happening? Again, it's Chinese New Year. And I'm standing there. The owner of that Walmart is a Chinese person that was celebrating and bringing in the blessings, for that space. And he even had the dragon people dance through the Walmart, which I find amazing that they do that they're allowed to, live that spirituality and bless their business with that energy, right? And for me, it was like, oh my God. And again, this is like, it's not that I need the confirmation, but it was beautiful to have someone from the outside actually confirm, because there were a couple of other things that I was talking to my teacher there. And she said, you can actually see how guided you are, how so many things happened for a specific time or during a specific time. And it was always for a reason, because there was always something coming after. And I love how the Hawaiians have this beautiful word, sentence, ikaponomea. You're always the right person at the right place at the right time. And this just confirms how spirit works. It's not coincidences all the time. It's like those are signs. There's the universe telling you, hey, we're here. We're looking out for you. We're taking care of you. We just want to show you, hey, we're here. Woohoo. Whenever you need us, just talk to us. Let's do it. You know? And the more we open ourselves up to the spirit world, to our guidance, to the divine guidance, however you want to call it, whether you see it as something that's innate from you, that comes from your higher self, from inside of you, or it is, or you believe in the entities around you, it's there and we can see it and we can find that magic. And so I feel that we need to bring back that magic into our lives. And I'm not just saying bring it back because, like I said, it's not that I needed it bringing it back. I'm living it, but I haven't been talking about it too much. So I want to talk about this more this year. I want to talk about it with you, with my listeners, because I hope that you can be inspired for yourself to become, more magical for yourself. And not that you have to become, sorry, that's the wrong word. Sorry, let me go back. Not become. You already are magical and you already have that magic around you. The thing is that we always get so scared, or we're so used to be more in our overwhelm and our anxieties and all of those things that we forget to really feel and listen and see the signs of the magic around us. And the more we do that, you come back into the trusting mode. You learn to trust yourself. You learn to trust your energy. You learn to trust your decisions. Because for whatever reason, you might not be able to see it right now, but for whatever reason, you feel drawn to this or drawn to that, and you don't have to explain it. I know I sometimes try because I feel like I need to explain to whoever is listening in more brainy wise. But if we listen to the energy, we don't have to explain. It's just I'm drawn to this right now. This is what's calling me. This is the energy that wants to speak to me right now. And so for today, I want to send out to you, my listeners, a blessing from my ancestors that are here with me, that allowed me to tell you their story or our story a little bit. I'll probably dive in more into this. My dragons that want to be very present, that want to be very, very present. They asked me to change the logo so that they can be present in it. And I'm doing it. I'm done questioning those kind of things. They're there. They want to do it. Let's do it. We want to work together. We want to support you. 2026. Let's make it a magical year, no matter what's happening out there. It's about us becoming and being the magical beings that we are, beings that we are, the lighthouses, the magical lighthouses. Because there's a reason why we're here the way we are, with all our emotions, our overwhelm, our sensitivities. We're here for that, for a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for that, why we're here. And instead of fighting ourselves and trying to change ourselves, to adjust ourselves to everybody else, why don't we learn to embrace who we are, who we want to be? Let's take that blessing in. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. Let's inhale, exhale it. Take a deep breath. You're okay and you're wonderful the way you are. And let's take that into a supercalifragilisticexpialidocious 2026. And let's make it magical. Little disclaimer in the end. I know I'm already talking about the new year. Of course, Chinese New Year's is very important for me to celebrate as well, as I just mentioned in the story. And of course, for everybody, the year actually starts a little bit later. So don't stress yourself to do everything right now, having to do everything right now, because now the year starts. No, allow yourself to actually arrive in 2026 before you start to do everything. All right? Happy magic.